Associates. Hey, Associates, we are here to talk about Suits, Season 7, Episode 5, Brooklyn Housing. Stick with us.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
There it is.
Never can get old with the theme song.
You just do a little shuffle. A little bit of... I just want to do this all day.
Yeah, this should be the show. This is our show.
Hello and welcome to AfterBuzz TV's coverage of Suits. This is the Suits After Show. I'm your host, Steve Kaufmann. Find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That is Kaufmann. We are not full strength tonight.
We are not, but I feel like we have a lot of the main name partners. The core of it. Really.
Speaking as managing partner, I could not ask for a better two-man than...
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll promote you to name partner right now.
Nice.
Mr. JB Zimmerman, where can the people
Yeah.
find you on Twitter?
You guys can find me everywhere at Hey John Blake.
Great. That was 30 seconds shorter than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Let's get into this episode. How are we feeling? It's week 5?
It is week 5. Although it's I guess it's week 4 for us because we did a double episode first. But things have progressed. I mean, I feel like this was halfway, I guess, for the season, and so I don't know. I feel like in some ways things are heating up, but this episode itself seemed like more of like a let's just ramp things up, because I feel like from the beginning where we started to where we ended, we're kind of in the same exact place, honestly, but things are just more intense and like.
Yeah, it was a dial-up episode.
Yeah, exactly.
I called it a bottle episode in the hallway, and I have to take that back. Like, it's not a bottle episode. Like, everyone was as uncontained as they've been. It's a dial-up episode.
Yeah.
Like, we're dialing up to the next 5 weeks where everything's gonna like crash and burn and happen.
Right, exactly. A lot of like the conflicts solidified, and like I was able to see things that I had suspected really come into like much more of a focus, much more of a specificity. Almost, like, I mean, all of the conflicts kind of just solidified and were taking shape, and you're like, it's much more obvious, like, where things are going to start coming apart at the seams.
But those are necessary.
Oh,
speaking
100%.
of specificity, am I crazy for expecting Mike and Rachel to give us a date this week?
No, we talked about that.
Like,
I was a little upset that our premonition was like completely thrown out the
because
window.
they specifically did say.
They did say.
Like, we're gonna drink wine all night. We're gonna drink wine all night.
All-nighter date.
We're gonna do an all-nighter. We're gonna talk about ourselves, our feelings, our this, our that, our everything, and we're gonna pick a date for our wedding. When is the date for the wedding? It's Valentine's Day 2018. It's
gotta be. It's gotta be.
Suits, this could have not been your plan. It's your plan now.
Yeah, just listen.
Centrifugal motion. I'm willing this into the universe.
Yes, excellent. I mean, crazier things have happened for sure.
That's definitely.
But I was a little bit surprised as well. Mike and Rachel's kind of interaction definitely kind of bookended this episode in a lot of ways, and I think that's gonna be honestly the only thing in my mind that like will make Mike stop. Not necessarily the craziness, because I'm all for like helping the world and like being a good human being, but at the same time, like, he's sacrificing so much of himself. Like, again, I'm getting that he wants to be like a do-gooder and give it its all, but like at the same time, he's really throwing his own not only reputation, because that's like much more obvious, but I think a lot of his own like ambitions and like what he can do like as a person. Like, not only will like he break a trust with Harvey, but it's like, if you do this, like, he's going to be a bad lawyer in a way, because he just isn't good. He goes back on contracts. Like, that's a bad like employee.
That's a bad employee. That's a bad businessman. That's a bad professional.
Yes, that's a very good word for
because
saying
aside from the whole Harvard thing that he went to,
definitely a bigger issue.
That whole not being a lawyer thing,
right?
He's past that. That's in the rear view, and many would argue that he was still a good lawyer.
Oh, totally.
And a good professional,
right.
But like, this is a moment where he's genuinely going back on his word, and I think we all root for him because he's a well-written character that we really root for, and they've made the stakes so high that we're all in. But Rachel Rachel kind of had to lay down some law here.
Yeah, I'm so glad that she did. She really like drops a bomb on Mike sort of at the end there, and it's like your word's going to be nothing. Like that kind of means a bit more. I mean, obviously, it's a very different from the situation you're talking about, like him becoming a felon and defrauding this whole society.
He's already done that.
Right. No, exactly.
He is a previous felon.
Right.
Like, that
well,
happened.
no, that's what I mean. Like he's water under the bridge. He's been there, done that. Now, like this is more like a conscious choice where he's come so far back from literally being like having nothing. From like he went from everything to nothing, and then like his calling his way back, and for him to be building a legitimate life for himself for the first time, this is not the way to do that. You know, I get where he's coming from is a very noble space, but at the same time, you can't have it both ways. Like you can't always be cutting corners. There is a system involved, and like a lot of time, like it's interesting because as a lawyer, like his job is to sort of find like the loopholes within the system, and he himself, like, you know, I would almost like want him to face himself in court because he'd be like honestly the only person that could be like, dude,
well, yeah,
this is so easy to like screw you
because we're still talking Mike and Rachel. Do you think Rachel would be this upset with him if he had told her flat out? Like if he hadn't lied about a Brooklyn Housing Authority case or this or that. Right. He like had he just been like, yeah, I signed a document with Harvey. The greater good is these prisoners. Yeah. And I'm going to do everything I can for these prisoners.
Yeah, I don't think she'd be as upset, but also I don't think she would have let it go as far. I mean, maybe not at all. I mean, had they talked about it like the night of, you know, maybe it was early enough where he could have more easily with his own mind been like, Oliver, you know what, like I really just can't talk to you, and like been more firm with that. So I don't know. I feel like Rachel is sort of the voice of reason, especially right now. It should be Harvey, and we've seen that in the past, but their relationship is in a different spot. Like there was a sort of agreement when they came in that like Mike was gonna sort of be his own entity almost in this firm, and so he's like, I think, beholding to that a lot more than he should. Yeah. And I've been reading some of the comments, and the comments are based on some rumor, of course, that are completely contrary to everything we were talking about last week, which is that they're trying to write Rachel off the show. Interesting. And that this is the seed. Yes. This or something the life like of a princess. Like this or something. This or something like this is the actual seed to make her leave Mike, presumably go to her father's firm, which might as well be Mars for as far as the show, or Chicago, where Jessica went. Like it might as well be Mars. Like it's off stage, right? How do you feel about that being a possibility? That feels totally. I mean, that does not ring true to me. Yeah, it's very interesting fan theory. I mean, I think it's interesting when like life events kind of affect shows, and they have the writers kind of get like a new creative thing that like they weren't expecting, which can turn out well. That being said, I don't want I don't want Mike and Rachel to go astray. Yeah, I think there are a couple outs that the show naturally presents. You know, there was that seed that Rachel was talking about working with her dad. Yeah, you know, like that could be a thing. Like if he was like, you know what, I'm expanding into Europe, and you're the only person to run even better. Like an actual stage right. Like I was thinking she'd just go to another office. Right, or like, you know, San Francisco. I think they're set in New York, so it's like somewhere far. I was just thinking she breaks up with Mike, and then. But you're right. That could like it's a big firm. You could literally just move her along. So, I don't know. I would be curious to see if something like that happened. I mean, in general, this season, I feel like we've had the most new characters. Obviously, at Pearson Specter Lit, there's been a shakeup, as we know. There's new management, so we kind of expect that. But I don't think we will need to be tied to these characters as much as we have in the past. Well, yeah. So even if the actress that plays Rachel, Megan, has like some type of conflict that we don't know that like makes her, not available for filming in the States or in North America.
Also, Jay Ruiz in the chat says the rumors are that she's going to be taking time off, but still be a part of the show.
Right. Well, yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, she could have like more of a
that the character
back.
can leave, and Debbie Kovac in the chat says she should go to Chicago and work with Jessica.
That'd be great. I would love that. That's a awesome.
Sir, given that she's not completely leaving,
yeah.
if she doesn't completely leave the show, that's actually the perfect out.
Yeah.
Because then she'd come back a better lawyer. She'd come back a better lawyer, an experienced lawyer, and maybe Mike believes her in such a way that she like needs a break.
Yeah.
Ross and Rachel taking a break.
Yeah,
sorry.
We were on a break.
Sorry, everyone. Moving on with Mike to the case, and the greater good, and I appreciate that he's doing this for the greater good, but I also do not think Oliver either Oliver isn't as equipped, and Mike is right that he needs to be there, or Mike doesn't trust Oliver, or Oliver doesn't trust himself enough to actually do the case. Mm-hmm. Either way, Mike is letting a lot of things get in the way of what could be a straightforward case that he drops by maybe once a week on.
Right. And even that is like unethical.
Yeah, even him dropping by once a week is unethical, but it's like...
Yeah, he's doing all the heavy lifting. He's literally a part of...
Making all the meetings.
Right. Yeah, making all the meetings and doing some on his own. Like
met
literally...
with 2 different prisoners in 2 different prisons.
Yeah.
Like, they keep a log, Mike.
Yeah, exactly.
How are you writing that off?
I was totally thinking that. Like, the security camera footage, like, whenever this does go to trial, like, they can use this stuff and, like, say,
also,
like, hey, you were literally interviewing with every witness that's on the case. Like, hello. Kind of a red trail.
Also, I just want to point out, if somebody gets a PlayStation in a prison, Tech has serial numbers. You could have tracked the PlayStation and probably found a guard buying a PlayStation, and then you could have flipped the guard. Maybe I just...
Well, yeah, I mean...
obviously, you need to bring Gallow in, and it's like...
Yeah, Gallow...
that's the most intense of it. Like,
yeah.
That's the most drama-filled scene, but maybe we could have had one scene where they track down a guard who doesn't work there anymore. It's like, you know what? I already flipped.
Yeah.
I already flipped, and I'm crazy now.
Yeah,
like, as a witness, no one's gonna take me serious. Like, oh man.
Yeah.
Let's go to Gallow or somebody.
Yeah, totally. I mean, they definitely had those prison guards in a few episodes ago, so they definitely could have brought them back.
And the private prison guards are super tight.
Yeah.
But I know that that's not a tree you really want to go
right.
on. Nobody says nothing there.
Yeah, no, they're a very tight knit crew, which makes sense. I mean, it's like a very. In like they've got to be like a frat and like a unit, like a sports team.
Yeah, like a team.
Yeah,
like,
totally. But no, I on the Oliver note, because I'm not the biggest Oliver fan or at all.
I actually think Oliver is a great lawyer who just second guesses himself, and maybe I'm bringing my own stuff to it.
Right.
But I genuinely think if pushed out the door, if you will, if pushed to sink or swim, he'd swim. But Mike keeps intervening. Because Mike doesn't know what it's like to not just be a good lawyer out of the gate.
Yeah.
Or, to a certain extent, Mike also doesn't know what it's like to not have a Harvey.
True. And
Although Harvey would make Mike sink or swim. Like, I think Mike resents Harvey for how Harvey would treat him. So he's treating Oliver differently. Whereas there's a merit to how Harvey treated Mike, which was, if you fail, you fail.
Yeah.
If you fail, you fail, and my mistake was letting you...
Try, yeah.
Yeah, or my mistake was judging you incorrectly for whether you should or shouldn't have tried.
Right.
I think Mike should do that a little more with Oliver. Or judge Oliver accordingly, that if you genuinely don't think Oliver can handle a class action, which is not out of the realm of possibility.
Right. He can go somewhere else. Like, there's a ton of other places.
There are so many other lawyers in New York that know Mike.
Yeah.
That he could do a quiet referral, which, by the way, a quiet referral would break the agreement he made.
Right. And also, I bet the people are going to comment that, it was a pro bono case, which is not obviously, like, easy to pass off. That being said, as soon as they kind of uncovered what was really going on. Oh, no,
it's a class action. Like that's hundreds of millions of dollars.
Like, that's huge.
That's like like prisoner deaths, estates, families, like that's
Right.
easily, to a certain extent, you're defrauding taxpayers because the taxpayers are paying for the private prison. Like that class action is a deal maker, not a deal breaker.
Yeah.
So somebody would have taken it. Mike in his mind thinks he's the only one who could.
Right. And because it's Oliver's case, I think that given that scenario, if it did get like too big or like it was too intense, like Oliver can also like reach out other places. Like he's a capable dude, or should be. He passed the bar, obviously. So I think Mike, being so smart, he's got like a photographic memory. Like he is used to being the one that does everything, especially working with Harvey. I think he has trouble like not taking the reins of the details. Like Harvey, for instance, in this episode he's just like a bulldozer almost.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I will intimidate you to either giving up or like giving the answers, or just like he just basically figures out how to get the job done without actually like doing it himself, which is a very smart way to manage.
Well, that's the Harvey way to do, and like that's similar to how Mike is treating Oliver versus how Harvey treated Mike.
Right.
Other than like situations where Harvey would take the lead in a situation where he needs Mike directly, and he'd be like, follow my lead and do exactly as I say.
Yeah.
Or he'd plop something on his desk and say, do this.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I think the difference is like when Mike goes to Oliver, he's like, okay, do this. And Oliver's like, I can't do it. And Mike's like, okay, I'll just do it myself then.
Yeah, I'll just do it myself, or I'll walk you through it, or I'll do where
Harvey, and like if Mike said he can't do it, which is the case.
Yeah.
This episode, Harvey's like, okay, great, I'll find someone else who can do it. Instead of just doing it himself.
I have someone in the chat I missed there, or love the snark in the chat said something to that effect, which Mike needs to tell Oliver, we're either doing this or I'm out.
Right.
Like I can't be. You literally. He is on.
Such thin ice.
He went to Danbury twice and another prison once. So he's on one prison log twice and then another once. Mm-hmm. Not to mention he's all over. Like he visited someone at their house.
Yeah, he's constantly at the clinic, like all day.
Nathan knew. Like Nathan didn't have to figure it out. Like.
Right. Yeah.
Rachel figured it out. Like if those people can figure it out, it's literally only going to be one more episode. And spoilers, we saw it in the preview. It's literally only going to be one more episode till Harvey finds out.
Right.
Harvey, who wants to keep Alex.
And Harvey's really taking. I mean, I think a bigger chance that Mike also doesn't realize. Like Mike's like, dude, we're totally we were good.
Man, like whatever. Where it's like, dude, we need Alex to keep this firm.
Well,
just because Alex is my boy does not mean this conflict isn't huge for him.
Right.
And like
this
whole firm is teetering on disaster every week.
Totally. And it's all on Harvey. And that's the thing I think Mike doesn't realize is like before it was okay because no matter what would happen, basically Jessica would take the heat. And so, like, Harvey could be a little, like, more fast and loose, especially with Mike. And so they've always had this relationship. Now, when everything will come crashing down on Harvey, I think he's going to be a lot less, flexible with Mike.
Nor should he be.
Yeah, exactly. He can't. That's the thing. Like, he's literally on the line.
Well, because he always had a Jessica.
Right,
He doesn't have a Jessica now. He runs the firm.
Yeah, so it comes down like directly on him, and the one thing Harvey cares about most is obviously his own reputation, like how he's viewed. Like that's how he gets things done, is the reputation he has. Like he is all talk in a lot of ways. I mean, he's obviously a boss. Mm-hmm. I'm not like discounting anything.
No, but he definitely can't. Yeah. He can't let Mike run amok like this. Before we move on from the Reyes case, I just like this is. I do like what this show did with the Reyes case, and as far as we can tell, this is the only really long-term case this season. Like all the Harvey cases stop and start, like maybe 2 season arcs, but this case seems like it's going to have enough legs because it's a class action to run all 10 episodes. And I really enjoy that the conundrum is for Mike has been based in the idea of do you honor your word and your livelihood and your personal life, and like everything will get tied up into that. Which is just you're one person. If you value that, however you'll value you, against the lives of what seems to be, might possibly be, because what is it, 8 prisons? 10 years? Thousands of prisoners.
Yeah.
At least one death, likely hundreds of deaths against you, one. Like, it's an altruistic, at its core, it's a very altruistic conundrum.
Right. And it's like, dude, I don't even know if they have the resources to like see it through. If it
I don't think the clinic does.
Exactly. If it is that big and if it is involving that many different prisons, like they will definitely have the resources to like draw it out where literally Oliver and half of Mike's time under the rug like cannot do it. Like
yeah. And I like Nathan in this. I like Nathan here too, where it was like, because I think Nathan and Harvey are the two that aren't letting their hearts get in the way here. In the sense that they know these cases, they know that no case is worth you.
Right.
Like in that equation I'm giving you, like let's say thousands of victims, hundreds of like dead victims versus you yourself. You yourself on that side is not worth any amount, like, or is not worth thousands or like hundreds of that. Like,
right.
You would assume there is a value of millions or whatever, but I think Nathan and Harvey weigh more on the side of, no, I'm more important than this many people. I'm in a situation where I can't do this case.
Right.
I cannot help this case. I should not be taking Oliver's calls.
He shouldn't be. I mean, for such a variety of reasons. Like, there's a laundry list. And I think it's really starting to show that he can't do everything. Like, he can't have this full-time job where he's doing much more work at the firm and be like double timing with Oliver and also like working on his marriage, like or his wedding. He should be planning
his engagement,
this, like
a wedding and engagement.
Yeah,
like, this is
it's kind of a
Mike's
busy
got some
time.
Mike's got some stuff going on.
Yeah, a lot on his plate.
And I know a lot are gonna. We're transitioning to Harvey. We'll talk about Mike and Harvey a little. Harvey did. The reason Mike is in this position is that Harvey did go back on a promise.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be lost. However, it's like a double cross at this point. Like it's like a spy show where it's like, well, Harvey went back on a promise. So Mike had to make a promise. Now Mike is going back on that promise and it all gets really muddy. The thing is Harvey runs the place and Mike doesn't.
Yeah.
So this is not going to end well for Mike. But moving on from him, Harvey has a client. Client got some tech stolen. Harvey hires Cromwell.
Yeah, I kind of like Cromwell.
I love Cromwell.
She's like my new favorite character.
She's been my favorite character since they introduced her. Like,
yeah.
I really enjoy her in all she does. Like I don't know, corporate espionage in this world that we live in is a very useful tool. And she's a fairly upfront, honest, and loyal and ethical person for what she does. And we learned that today with her and Donna.
Right, and I love that was such a good scene. The second confrontation that they, or I guess it was the first between Donna and her, was them meeting, which was such an epic. It was like probably my favorite part of the episode because obviously Donna had a very intense, had made up her mind about Cromwell in a lot of ways, and she kind of comes out guns blazing, and Cromwell like very calmly but confidently like kind of mops the floor with Donna in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I mean, she was just like, I mean, to the tune of getting like a completely better deal.
Do we think Cromwell meeting with the COO and things just not being what she? Why do we think she turned down employment, which is what she asked for at the top of the episode?
I mean, leverage. If she was that crafty to get all that information, like, within a day of Harvey asking, and, you know, obviously it's not Cromwell wasn't the first thing that Harvey tried, so he did do a little bit of due diligence to get those answers and couldn't. You know, she's very good. She can really, like, see the whole bigger picture, and for her to put together everything that they need so fast means that she's got to, you know, be playing all of her options. And I don't think it was her first to come to Harvey to, like, basically beg for him for a job in his lobby.
No, but she didn't beg. I think she wanted... I think she thought she could report directly to Harvey.
Right.
And by meeting Donna, she realized there would be an internal struggle at Pearson Specter that she didn't want to deal with. she thought she could walk in. Although, would she have a better deal? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. I really wish they had just hired Cromwell's in-house as an in-house advisor instead of just pro bono. Or not pro bono, instead of just as a contractor.
Right. And, you know, it's interesting to see. I mean, I hope that there's a lot more Cromwell, because, like, I really enjoyed that scene, and, like, she's obviously very good at getting results. It's almost, like, too easy. She might be, like, too good for, like, the enjoyment of the show.
Well, but that's why you need to bring her into the fold. But she'll eventually... Either we're going to see...
her match or something.
We're either going to see her web of people and how she gets there, or we're going to see some of it fall apart, and she's going to need to fall back on people like Donna or Rachel to actually help her.
Oh, exactly.
I want all of this.
Yeah.
Give us more Cromwell, guys.
No, totally. I mean, it would be so fascinating to watch. That being said, I mean, she was so good in the scene with Donna, I almost am worried if she was, like, basically a main, like, character in The Office, that she'd be so qualified that, like, she would almost make that, like, like, you know, like, some of the characters not as important or not as good at their job. Granted, they're not, I'm not saying that to discredit, like, Donna or Rachel or anybody, but they're just in these new roles, but they're kind of, like, part of this season is about them, like, figuring it out. Like, they're not really, like, not necessarily not qualified, but just, like, not prepared because they haven't done this work forever. They just started. Like, this is, like, a month in, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that they kind of, like, backpedaled a little bit. And I'm not surprised because I think, would kind of overshadow what they're doing if she's so good at what she does that they can just, like, it's like an easy out.
They'll eventually have to hire her.
Totally.
Unless by helping Pearson Specter lit fairly publicly, at least in her circles, she was able to then show that she's trusted by them to then turn around and do the same for every firm.
Right.
For every firm in town. Maybe that was her, and maybe that was her play all along. I don't think so. I think something Donna said. I think the sheer presumption of Donna made her realize she didn't want to work there.
Yeah. And I think she realized that she could do what she just did with Harvey elsewhere, too. And really, I mean, like, as a freelance business, like, that would really crush it. I mean, obviously, she got a huge check from Harvey. So, like, if she's doing that, there was a day of work, literally a day of work that she did. And, like, I bet there's many zeros at the end of the, like, on that check. So
I would bet $50,000.
Really? I would bet more than that.
No, I think that
because I bet she was gonna be signed for, like, 6 figures plus.
But like I said, one day of work for someone who's worth like $30,000 for a day, like that's a 6-figure salary extrapolated. I think, I think she would be worth anywhere between $30,000 and $50,000. Granted, it was one day work, and granted,
it was a lot of information though.
It was a lot of information. It was a lot of information, a lot of important information.
Right.
But if I had to hazard a guess,
totally. I mean, hey, fans in the comments definitely.
Let's get this sliding bar together, guys. What do we think? Because 100,000 would be too much.
Right. But no, I mean,
it was one day. Granted, it was like against the deal.
I'm trying to think back, and again, fans, if you guys have access to, like, all the episodes, I would love to go back and see what number she's thrown around, because I feel like in the past when we've dealt with Cromwell, like, she's thrown some, like, highball numbers.
Has she ever thrown numbers? I feel like
they. I mean, I
feel like that would be. I think it was always kind of. It would be a lot. It would be a lot. Like, I don't. And let me know, but I feel like it was always ever. I feel like
it
was an implied a lot, but we know $1 million for, like, even a week's work would be a lot for someone we've not, like, for not just, like, a legitimate person.
Right.
So, like, I don't know. I think I'm sticking with $50,000 for the day. I think it's
at least triple digits. Possibly
100. I think that could be anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000 because you have to think on it. Yes, she. Well, no, because he would only be billing the client for the hours.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I really want to go back and see what.
Although she charged Harvey $100, he's charging that client $300, because business.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Well, you don't rise to the top by not doing that. So.
There's actually an old joke that says a lawyer makes it to the pearly gates of heaven and he's 35. And St. Joseph gets there, and he's like, congratulations, you made it to heaven. You've lived 87 years. He's like, wait, what? And he's like, oh, we calculated your billable hours.
Yep, dude. I mean, they
some old
like
dad
never.
jokes.
I mean, there's a reason why they kind of show their lifestyle like this. It's cool. Like Harvey has a lot of awesome cars and like a great apartment, but he works all the time. Like they constantly. Like they live and eat work.
Very much. Let's move on to Harvey and Paula.
Yes, Harvey
and Lewis
Paula
and
Lewis.
Jacob. And the mirror of Jacob and Lewis, and the breakthrough with Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis this episode. Didn't expect him to be like one of the most even keeled people. Also, turned it up like so in such a professional way. Like he went 0 to 60, but like all completely under his control, which was, I think, really cool to see that like he could turn it on and off, like with his like being in the driver's seat. And I think that's a representation of all the work he's been doing with Dr. Lipschitz. Again, thank you, Doctor. You've done wonders for Lewis because he, there's a couple times where he overreacted a little bit, where he was like in lawyer mode. Like, and I feel like to be a good litigator, you kind of always have to be like that to press people and get the information you want. But, like he definitely did that with his own clients. It's a little insensitive. That being said, in the second meeting of with the other opposing counsel or whatever, he just completely destroyed their case. It was amazing to see.
Well, because he channeled his undealt with feelings directly towards Jacob, who was going through the exact same thing. What was funny is he didn't help him either.
Yeah.
He was like, no, you're a scumbag for doing all these things, and you're the worst, and I hate you, and Tara's never coming back, deal with it. And like he never wants us like, man, you really need to deal with your stuff.
Yeah, no.
He's just like, no, you're scum.
My favorite.
Because you're on the other side of the table from me.
Part was like they come in and like it was like starts off with like a little insult. He's like, yeah, like, well, your lawyer shouldn't have said that she did any deal for you because you're a liar. And he's like, or she's like, you shouldn't talk to my client that way. And he's like, well, he just takes it up to a 10.
Yeah, like a lot of.
He's a piece of.
I mean, it was productive self-hatred to a certain.
Yeah.
Well, because it was productive, projected self-hatred.
Mm-hmm.
That seems. All those words seem to be in the right order.
Right. And again, Dr. Lipschitz saw all this coming. And it was interesting to see Lewis figuring it out, like, as it was playing out, but also handle it. I think he was very responsible in that situation and didn't go too far, didn't break down. So it was, because it was a pretty like heartfelt thing. Like, obviously that what the guy was doing was not cool. I mean, he cheated on his partner and
stalked her. Like,
both of these things are very not so cool. But, like when he was like, it was very heartfelt what he was saying. Like, I made a mistake. I had planned all this out, and then I saw my like entire life like ruined. Like that would be devastating. So I think that was an interesting thing for Lewis to hear, because obviously Lewis is not perfect. So I think it's interesting. Not to say that Lewis would ever do that in a similar way like to Tara. Like, I don't think he would ever act that or make a mistake like on a personal level.
Yeah. I
don't think Lewis would ever cheat or like.
But
really
I think that's part of the. I think that's part of his projection onto Jacob, which was, and he didn't say you cheated on her. He said you loved her, you made a mistake. You made a mistake. She made a choice to leave you, and now you can't let that go.
Right.
So like that's all true of Lewis up until that moment.
Very
which was,
true.
You made a mistake. You came on too strong. You did, like, he's admitting, as anyone should.
Yeah, she ended it, and it was like he's been trying to do everything.
Yeah, that he's only one step away from stalking her.
Totally.
In his mind, like
he was, and I think he probably would have gotten there had he not had like some type of like the support of the people.
Had he not been a really, really busy lawyer.
Oh yeah, I know exactly.
Like, I think that's
he's got a pretty busy day job that kind of keeps him in the office for sure. But also, I think Donna's there to talk some sense, and he has some outlets that are he works at like a big company, so there's like people he can confide in. This guy, Paula's ex, was just a psychiatrist, and what's I think tough about that is often they're running these private practices where literally they don't work with anyone else. They it's one-on-one with their clients, or maybe it's like sometimes their clients outnumber them. If you're doing like a couple, it's like you're. So I think that's an interesting office dynamic if you're basically essentially working with your partner who's also like your like both in business and out.
Completely unrelated to Suits.
Totally.
Sitcom for next pilot season. Couples counselors.
Nice.
Who are also a couple.
Nice.
So you do marriage counseling with a married couple who are both therapists. But go on.
Nice. Yeah. No, I mean, I wonder how many of those exist.
3-camera sitcom.
Yeah.
Kevin James. No, he's got that thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're getting completely derailed.
But bring us back.
Yeah. Well, no, I was going to take us further away really quick. There was that Charlie Sheen show after, not 2.5 Men, one he did after that, but he was
yes.
He was a psychiatrist, and he was seeing one of the other ones. I don't know if they saw the same patients.
Okay.
But may have come across as a similar
I did not watch that show, so I will take your word for it.
Well, yeah. Anyway, back to Suits. It was interesting to see. I mean, it was also interesting to see Paula's side being so irrational when she deals with this type of thing every day. Like, not to say, I think they're kind of making a point, like, when it's yourself, it's hard to diagnose. It's really, I think, a lot more difficult to see. And that's like why people go to therapists and, like, talk it out, because there's things that are so, when it's so close to you, you don't even see it. And I think that was the case, because obviously Harvey is not like the most emotionally developed person, but for him to kind of be the one talking reason and kind of her out of that situation was an interesting dynamic.
It's really interesting, and I feel like this is one of the few moments they're going to give us before this all blows up.
Yeah,
like there's no way this works. There's no way Harvey Paula ever works. We've been saying it for weeks. Like last week, we were to a point where we were literally like, so not next week, the week after.
Yeah.
No, the week after that. Like when is it gonna when is this gonna blow up? Because it's not good. Also, I've seen a lot of people in the chat mention that Harvey still needs therapy.
Yeah,
and I can agree with that. I also agree that everyone kind of needs therapy to a certain extent. And
no, I would agree. I mean, like, what's bad about talking about like issues you're having?
And
like,
it was actually
them. Like getting help with your problems is a very good thing. Like I don't know why there is sort of a stigma in our culture, I guess, about therapy. Like I don't think. I mean, obviously it's like expensive. So if you have the means, like why wouldn't you? It's like literally talking about your issues, which I think all of us do on some level with our parents or our spouses or our friends
or our podcasts.
Yeah, or exactly like just literally getting it out is such a therapeutic thing. I mean, again,
well, we're here.
Same word, but yeah, I think Harvey should definitely find another therapist. Clearly, it's working for Lewis. It worked to some extent. You got Harvey this far. He's still got a little ways to go. Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Also, one more thing, because sorry, it almost went away. Harvey also needs an assistant, and I'm glad they brought that up this episode.
Well, they brought up that
sort of. Donna was like, "Yeah, I'm not your assistant."
They brought up that Donna's not his assistant.
Exactly. We still don't know if he has one at all. He might not.
I'm available.
Just hey, if we're hiring people. We've got Cromwell money to throw around.
I know people in Toronto that will let me stay there.
Exactly. If you needed,
while you let me be his on-camera assistant,
I can write checks, no problem.
I'll just There's literally hundreds of hours of me sitting here being witty. It's about the same.
Yeah, I feel like it's that role. It's like emotional support, a little bit of
support,
banter,
and just all the things is what Harvey's assistant would be.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be a good job.
Nice.
I still stand by that Gretchen's probably doing all the assisting.
That's a lot of heavy lifting, especially since they've gotten so many more executives. Like I feel like Donna almost could I mean, in a real scenario, would have an assistant or something.
Yeah.
You know, Alex is new.
Fawad Dodd in chat says bring back Amy from season 4.
Yeah, I mean, we need to see some assistants. I feel like Mike should have an assistant.
I feel like, and do you want to just get in the predictions? I think we're ready.
I think so.
We're definitely ready.
Let's do it.
For predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So, my prediction, I'll just jump out, is that Gretchen, about 2 weeks from now, has a blow up of like, y'all making me do the secretarial work for this entire organization.
I would love that. That'd be the best scene ever.
Here's a list of people you should hire. That's my Gretchen. That's
nice.
It's fair. I think that's gonna happen. And that's how they're gonna tie it up together. That it's they know at a certain point they're gonna have a scene where she just says like, listen, we need more assistants.
Yeah, it's interesting because they've been bringing in people, but we've only seen like that top level, and it's like you can only add top level people for so long until like you need the support staff.
Yeah.
We've seen the associates a little bit, but that's kind of a different route. So I think we need a little bit like another Gretchen.
And they make it clear that it's Pearson Specter lit. As an associate, you actually do work.
Right.
And like that's been clear in this show since season 1. That if you were an associate at any other law firm in New York, you would be doing BS stuff. Like you would be doing BS. There, they actually let you be a lawyer.
Right.
Which is something you literally are by the time you're an associate at law school, and it is kind of foolish that they're not. It is kind of foolish that you don't let your associate. That most law firms don't let their associates do like anything.
Yeah.
But
it's a bit of a grind. Again, no one said being a lawyer was easy.
So
but they do get paid a lot. So there's that.
Does Nathan drop the case because Mike's hands are all over it and he gets caught?
I think I think it gets too big, it gets too risky on all sides. I think Rachel putting on pressure. I think Harvey's gonna find out like next episode. I feel like that for Mike to risk his relationship with Harvey, his job, his relationship, his marriage basically with Rachel, and his reputation, like that's so much on a case that like he doesn't have to destroy. Like there's a difference between not being a part of it and like not having it happen. Like, you know what I mean?
No, but I understand. The second Oliver comes to him and says that it's a class action now, yes, Oliver shouldn't be coming to him. Yes, that's not a gray area, like you're clearly breaking the rules. But if you're going to break the rules, you should break the rules in a way that you stop breaking the rules, but get the optimal outcome. The optimal outcome is you get justice for those people and you stop it from happening for future people.
Right.
Which would mean, people in the chat have brought it up, Zane would take on that case now that it's $hundreds of millions class action lawsuit.
Yeah.
He would probably partner with Nathan's firm.
Right.
Like, he would probably partner with the Nathan Clinic. There's a certain level of Mike, I want to say Mike's ego, that he feels that he's the only one close enough to this to really get it done, which is really hurting him because he could be handing this off to other lawyers. Katrina would do this.
Yeah.
In this scenario, Katrina could work with Oliver and Nathan and make this entire case, make an entire class action case.
Right. I mean, Katrina's I think she's still at Pearson Specter, isn't she?
Yes, never mind.
But I mean,
but no one at Pearson Specter. Sorry, in my mind, she's still at Zane because we haven't seen her.
And if Mike's like really being truthful like that, it's about these people. Then like, there's plenty of capable people that can, if it gets that level, that class action suit, that can follow through and get like maybe not the exact result that Mike would get, but close. Like. But he's got to be okay with that. He's got to be okay with letting go. Like, he can't be on every case.
And if we're really breaking down the altruistic formula that he's in, he's one. They're, let's say, 100,000. So yes, his one is not as valuable as those 100,000. But if his one becomes negative 1.5 because of the risk he brings to that case,
right,
he's really not doing any service to the greater good.
Yeah. He's actually risking more.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, he's doing more. Like, whereas I'm just going to break it down D&D style, I guess.
Nice.
Whereas if him finding out it's a class action, helping Oliver up top, and then realizing, oh my God, it's a class action, I need to find a lawyer that can handle it, he passes it off to Zane. That's what? Negative 0.5 instead of negative 1.5?
Yeah.
It's better.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
It's a lot better, yeah.
It's better than what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's easier than we're making it, Mike. And I think that's kind of the main thing that's frustrating is that, like, and Oliver honestly brought it up this episode, was like, dude, like, you're so good at, like, finding out other ways. Like, he's almost, because he's spread so thin, maybe he's going to, like, the first thing that comes to his mind and just like, let me see if this will work, let me see if that will, like, and just going on that without thinking about the big picture as much. And Oliver was like, dude, like, you don't have to get this guy that's going to, like, who literally tried to kill you, like a guy who attempted to murder you. You're about to get him off earlier now because you needed.
I think
like,
Gallow's going to make this all worse.
Yeah, it's like, dude, this is disastrous. Like, the last person you should be asking or like trying to get a deal with or help is Gallow. Like, the dude was the worst last season. He literally almost killed Mike several times. And so, like, you know, I think he could have Harvey'd his situation a little bit better. And granted, like, you just shouldn't have been in it. I'm just very frustrated with Mike getting so sucked down this path. And when all I want is just Mike and Harvey to be like kicking ass again. And just like crushing cases.
Up on some stuff and like,
because, you know, although we lost Jessica, I think with the Harvey as the managing partner and Donna as the CEO, we've kind of had that dynamic back, that like Harvey Jessica thing. It's been a little bit of a reversal, which is cool to see. And so that's, you know, I feel like the most enjoyment has come out of that.
Also, everyone in the chat is literally bringing up, he was quite clear that he's going to kill Mike when he gets out.
Exactly.
Like,
it was pretty set in stone. It's kind of about the whole last season was about.
Yeah, and he like he didn't.
Yeah, whole last like 2 seasons. I think.
And like in the 2 scenes we had with him, he never like brought that back.
Yeah.
He never said like, well, okay, I won't kill you now. It's like, no, I'd like a cookie. I'd like you to get me out of prison.
Yeah.
And it's kind of unspoken. I'm going to kill you once I'm out of prison. Like, I don't know where anything else came from. Rachel. Now, there's a way to do this, and I'll probably do it the second we get out of here, which is they'll likely start shooting in Toronto either this week or in the next like couple weeks. So if Rachel shows up on those shooting dates, it's very likely that she doesn't leave at the end or she doesn't go on any type of hiatus by the 10th episode of this season.
Yes, I don't have
that information, but given that information, do we think they would have her exit briefly at the end of episode 10?
I don't know about exit. I mean, I don't
like
think that
sabbatical, the idea that she'll take time off from the show to like be royally married.
I mean, I think that's a big possibility. I feel like. Yeah. I mean, it's funny that she's planning a wedding in a show where she could be planning like an even bigger wedding, like in real life. So I mean, that's kind of just a funny scenario, and I hope that's the case. Like, good for her. Like, I think there are ways that they can write it where we don't miss Rachel as much.
Yeah.
But her commitment to the show is reduced, similar to Jessica, like you said.
I think it would be really funny, TV trope-wise, to have her literally go to Chicago where Jessica is. Like, this is where you go when you don't have time to be here every week.
Just package deal from now on.
You go to Chicago and you show up sparingly.
Yes, exactly. You're in 3 episodes and we're good.
I stand by my prediction. Harvey, Paula, episode 8.
Episode 8. We're on episode 5 right now? So
yeah, 3 weeks from now.
3 weeks. Interesting. Okay.
Maybe 9. I'm sticking with 8.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
I feel like 9, or maybe the finale. That could be finale material, like a big breakup.
Nobody ever says 10. Nobody ever says the finale.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a downer to go out on a breakup, unless there's like a good reason why. Like, it's a broke up because I need to be with this person. So short of someone new coming in and like sweeping Harvey off his feet, I think you're right. Probably episode 9 is my firm.
I dig that.
Yeah.
Do you have any other predictions at large?
I really want Lewis to meet someone. I think that will be.
That would be nice.
I feel like that coming into this season late. Obviously, he's been dealing with a lot. I think he's going to get resolution with Tara slowly, and then like he's going to meet someone.
I think Tara. I don't think we're ever seeing Tara again.
Yeah, I don't think we are either.
I think he's going to work his stuff out.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean with Dr. Lipschitz, and then he's going to like find someone like at the end.
I think it's binary. I think it's one or the other. I think he either finds someone and starts leading a healthier, more normal life, or we stick to my prediction last week, which was we lose Dr. Lipschitz by episode 10.
Oh yeah.
Either by sudden death or sudden retirement.
I feel like someone's gonna die this season. I don't know why I'm saying that, but like
I can stick with sudden retirement. Like I don't need Dr. Lipschitz to die.
I hope no one dies. They're all good characters.
But it's definitely a possibility that his life could kind of spiral out of control because he loses his therapist. That strikes me as the kind of character. Maybe it would even be worse that he seems healthy. He finds a woman. He starts moving very slowly and normally with her.
Right.
And then he loses Dr. Lipschitz. And then the firm falls apart because the firm's always falling apart. That's what I mean. And then his life spirals out of control.
Ooh, yeah.
But
that's a lot of content.
A woman would up those stakes.
Yes, and I would love to see Lewis get in a new relationship with Dr. Lipschitz so he doesn't make the same mistakes that he always has.
Also, Alex. We still don't trust Alex. We haven't seen him this week.
Yeah, he was in the episode.
He was in Miami. He was dealing with something.
I was doing in Ballers.
He was in the front office of Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, exactly. It's a side thing. It's part-time.
I was about to say he's bi-coastal. And he's New York and Florida.
No, I think he's gonna come back and really push the stakes with Mike. I think Harvey's gonna kind of have it for a while, and like that's gonna escalate for a couple episodes, and then like the threat of him finding out is what really gives Harvey the authority to be like, dude, if you don't drop this, like I'm gonna have to drop you. And that's sort of like not necessarily they won't be friends, but like you either choose you follow through this and don't work at the firm, or you do because it's like a conflict now.
I feel like he can't quit the firm and then still break the. Like I think whatever he signed was legally binding to the point that his hands being on the case at all
it doesn't matter where he goes. Yeah,
because they talked about how Nathan would drop the case. I think even him quitting Pearson Specter he wouldn't be able to touch this case.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Totally. Well, hopefully Mike figures something else out.
But I think we've definitely covered all the bases here on the Suits After Show. If the people want to talk to you, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at Hey John Blake.
And you guys can find me on Twitter, as always, at Steve Kaufmann. That is Kaufmann. I do a lot of shows here on AfterBuzz TV, tweet about them regularly. Also, go to thesoberyear.com. It's a vlog I'm doing where this is week 8. I'm doing 52 weeks where I am not having alcohol because it got out of hand. It's in the vlog. It's thesoberyear.com. I'm kind of proud of it.
Nice. You should be.
It's a thing I'm doing. Thank you all so much. Subscribe, like, do all the things, and good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.